This is Anisha. She has the Instagram of a regular college student. But you know what's common between all these posts? This tag. Actually, ये सब लोग वाइल्ड को टैग कर रहे हैं. पर क्यों? ये वाइल्ड है क्या?
WYLD Instagram पे पोस्ट से पैसा कमाने का मौका देता है.
Great marketing.
अनुपम डील पक्की.
In an age where influencers are everywhere.
PM Modi met Ankit Benpuria.
I'm going to car.
Influencer Kai Cenat inciting a riot.
Degree in influencing.
34% of Indians choose their brands based on what their influencer suggests.
Even have a national award show for their work.
तो मुझे भी आप लोगों से collab request करनी.
It might make sense to run a business built around influencing. Let's say Anisha feels like treating herself. She orders in from Eat Sure, shops for sunglasses on Lenskart, and gets some clothes from Westside. And like always, makes a post about this on Instagram. But this time, she tags WYLD and gets paid for her posts, essentially making her an
Influencer.
But how could that be legit? To find out, we visited the founders of WYLD.
We get queries from users till date. ये कार्ड चलता कैसे है?
It's an app that lets anyone with over 1,000 followers encash their influence. We all influence people every day without even realizing it.
But before we get into that, let me tell you something.
There are currently 10 crore people in India who create content. But इसमें से सारे 10 करोड़ लोग पैसे नहीं बनाते. इसमें से सिर्फ 1,50,000 लोग ऐसे हैं जो अपने कंटेंट को मोनेटाइज कर पाते हैं. But guess what? WYLD के वेट लिस्ट पे करीब 8 लाख लोग हैं. That is 5 times the number of people who earn money through content in this country.
So, we went to Mumbai to talk about their business model, how they make money, and whether even the Aam Janta can sign up on WYLD.
There were a lot of users who had come from rural areas also of India. I'm not saying that they are not influential, but they are not relevant today.
The biggest question that we kept getting asked is this for real? It's an app and a payment card for people to monetize their followers. Every time a person signs up, they're assigned a score called the WYLD score. Our scoring system is out of 1,000. You should have a score of at least 100. So use the card with our partner brands, make a purchase online, offline, wherever it is. But before you leave, if you take a picture, post about it on Instagram and tag the brand, you get anywhere between 30% to 100% of your transaction value back in cash back into your card based on your score.
So you're telling me that on the sole promise of a person who has followers as low as 1,000 people, post something about what they've purchased in the least interesting manner, and brands उनके पैसे वापस देने के लिए एकदम राजी है.
Brands didn't understand what it is that they needed to do in influencer marketing itself. They send a product to an influencer and ask them to post. And this happens in the lower, the nano-influencer or micro-influencer category. We told the brands, let us send you a customer, and then that customer becomes your marketer. You give them a small percentage of their transaction value back.
They're like, this is insane. Before, I was giving it for free.
Yeah.
Now I'm actually getting something back.
After Shark Tank, we have over 1,000 brands that have reached out to us
They're on the wait
that we
list.
still haven't taken in yet.
Raj also spoke about nano-influencers. Now what are they? A nano-influencer is a type of influencer with between 1,000 and 10,000 followers on social channels. Including nano-influencers as opposed to micro and macro-influencers in your marketing strategy brings some interesting advantages.
How many followers you said?
1.5K.
1.5K. Who are these people?
My friends.
Who would be in a similar demographic, age, area?
Almost, yes.
Do you think if you can afford Nike, most of your followers can also afford Nike?
Yeah.
So spending power is also very similar.
Right.
So for example, this place, you give us a shout out of this. I'm sure at least you'll get 10 DMs. Where is this place?
Right.
How is this place? How is this thing? What is this? Nothing but influencing. Yeah. The amount of influence what you have and the trust factor what you carry with the exact target audience of a brand. What else do you want as a brand?
Nano-influencer is in the journey of becoming big influencer. Those who will become big, they will get more money from the brands. Then you have to again go to the new consumer.
We are not for influencers alone. I don't think 80% or 90% of our users are looking to become creators or influencers. If it's just an average guy who has a day job, great social media game, and is excited about being on social media and creating content, we're looking at nano social media users and micro social media users.
Okay, but see, isn't it focusing too much on people like Anisha? A city-dwelling girl in the age of 18 to 25, जिसके एक particular urban identity है, जिसके पास बहुत सारे options है अपने पैसे spend करने के लिए. पर आजकल सिर्फ अनिशा जैसे लोग influencer नहीं है. What about people like गरीब जरमंदिर? Tier 2 और Tier 3 के cities से काफी सारे influencers आजकल बहुत famous हो रहे हैं. by showing how different their lifestyle is. So do WYLD and other youth-centric ventures consider the influence of people like Garib Dharmender?
There were a lot of users who had come from very rural areas also of India. I'm not saying that they are not influential, but they are not relevant today for the brands what have come on board.
So somewhere in the future, are you planning to get like brands which reciprocate with the rural audience as well?
100%. You know, everybody is an influencer, right? So getting the right brands for the right audience matters a lot to us.
But don't you think if WYLD grows exponentially and scales, we cannot trust micro-influencers as well?
Okay, so let's consider that they are getting cashback, but they're spending first now.
Yeah.
You will not go to a place just because, I'm getting 100% cashback. You will go to a place where you will have to spend. That's why the trust factor comes in कि इसने खर्चा किया है.
हाँ. So अगर ये सारे 8 लाख लोग जो वेट लिस्ट पे है WYLD पे आ गए, तो इनके सारे कैपिटल तो कैशबैक देने में लग जाएगा. How will they even make money?
So we have 3 revenue models. Since we are getting a customer to a brand, we are getting them marketing, so small fee to that. The second part, something called MDR. Every merchant pays 2% to Visa. Right? Out of that 1% we get it. And the last thing is when you come on board, there's a $599 membership fee.
Okay, but अब ये WYLD score क्या है?
Called the WYLD score.
It's a WYLD score. Now that score determines your value. So the way it works is very simple. We understand when you put up a post, how many people comment, how many people hit like, how many people save it, share it. So you could have 1 million followers and crap engagement and you'll have a low score. Or you could have 2,000 followers and great engagement and you'll have a better score.
So from what I understand, WYLD score का concept originate होता है from a theory called social currency. लेट 90s में एक फ्रेंच सोशलिस्ट था जिसने एक टाइप ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट को कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइज किया कॉल्ड एज सोशल कैपिटल एज अपोज टू अदर मॉनेटरी एक्सचेंजेस. दिस वन वाज रिलेटेड टू द सोशल वंस फॉर पर्सनल प्रॉफिट. उसका कहना था कि ये सोशल कैपिटल एग्जिस्ट तो करती है बट इसे यूज करने के लिए वन हैज टू डेवलप पब्लिक गुडविल, व्हिच मींस इफ आई यूज अ सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ पेन एंड इफ आई कुड मेक यू लाइक मी, I could also make you like this pen, or any pen for that matter. Much like how influencing works. From the time Pierre has said that, until 2009, दुनिया में 2 recessions हो चुके थे, and companies like Facebook, Twitter, and MySpace were popping up. अब इतना volatile economy में, marketing teams want to do everything they can to get their customer acquisition done. That is when Pierre's social capital became the framework for influencer marketing as we know it today. Actually, in one of his TED Talks, Rich too spoke about social currency.
Social currency is the power of your network, the capital you earn from every social interaction.
Content creator economy is growing exponentially, and by 2028 it's supposed to hit like $28 billion. So how is WYLD capitalizing that?
The biggest challenge these large brands face today is that you can have a D2C brand and you supply to everybody around the country. But now if you want to pick a small city, let's say like a Raipur, how do you know who is an influencer in Raipur?
Yeah.
That's somewhere that there could be a lot more focus. The biggest challenge that influencers face is getting into the radar of brands. We have plans for that as well. As we go forward, brands have the option. They say, I want people with a score of 400 and above to give me a shout out, and we get our users to talk about that launch. We do a campaign for them. Ideas are dime a dozen. Everybody's got a great idea. The question is, do you have the skill set to execute? If you don't, do you know anyone that you can bring on who can do the execution for you?
Also, do you think everybody's digital footprint will eventually exist only to get something profitable in return? जैसे हमने पहले देखा, WYLD स्कोर से हम pretty much किसी का भी social value समझ सकते हैं, और WYLD इसी आइडिया को sustain करने के लिए हमको incentivize करता है.
Today it might be on Instagram, but tomorrow we want to track your influence across all of these platforms. Now imagine that everywhere you go, everything you do, people check to see what your influence is in, let's say, a hotel. When you give your ID, they'll ask you what's your WYLD score, right? And they check your profile and they say, wow, this person has a score of like 800. Why don't we give her a free upgrade? What do you go upstairs and do? You take a picture and say, I got a free upgrade at this hotel. The WYLD score will become that basis on which everybody now starts looking at people.
2016 में, the acclaimed British show Black Mirror released an episode called as Nosedive. In this episode, everybody could rank each other on a scale of 1 to 5 on the basis of their social interactions. और ये score public के लिए visible भी था. I think this concept is eerily similar and not a far shot from what Rich just spoke about. बिल्कुल हर Black Mirror episode की तरह, this one too ends on a bleak note. Is this ever-presentness of social currency going to be a nosedive then?
Is there any competition or similar type of idea?
If it was that easy, I'm sure like a lot of people would be already doing it. I got a pizza box and then that give us a shout out and get a pizza free next time. I did give a shout out to them in a private profile, 0 followers, but I didn't get the pizza for free. There was no one who said, "वो तो ऐसे ही डाला है." They really want to do it from the management point of view, but at the ground level, there's no one to execute.
And that is actually pretty true. Only WYLD shows up when you search anything related to social currency platforms. The only company which comes close to WYLD, I think, is Groupon, जो अपने आप को इंडिया पे rebrand करता रहा. Groupon became Crazyl, Crazyl became Nearby. But the average Indian just did not reach out to it. Groupon का value proposition ही clear नहीं था. While they aim to be a subsidized marketplace, आम जनता के लिए तो एक कूपन देने वाला प्लेटफॉर्म था. Will WYLD have a similar problem with its value proposition? Only time will tell.